What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to episode number 36, USA, featuring your Three Stones pit crew. I'm your gas man, Cam,
I'm Kellen, your Jack man.
I'm your tire changer Cam.
and we've got another loaded episode, talking all things racing. Mother Nature kicked us, and we were down, but we fought back. So we're going to talk all things racing. Obviously, it's been a wild last
3 days, really.
3 days, really. Yeah. Up until, as we're recording on Tuesday, just wild news. So we're going to talk everything racing from one of the best weekends of racing there is all year, to some breaking news and everything in between. So, as we always do, how we doing, fellas?
Good. Got to see a lot of racing again this weekend, whether it was, being at the track or obviously having Sunday being one of the greatest days in motorsports. And, like you were saying, my nature didn't exactly pan out for some situations as we wanted to, which we'll touch on later. But otherwise, it was a good racing overall, I felt.
Yeah, it was good. I got to Jefferson for the first time, so it was cool to add another one to the list. But no, it was good on Saturday. I'm still working over that drive back. That was a hike. Uh, being
Now you
so
know how I feel on a lot of these drives.
yeah, just being so late. Still kind of on the mend from the late part of that drive, but no, good weekend. If you pretty much any hour of the day you can flip on a streaming service, you get racing. So can't complain when you can watch it at will.
Colin, real quick, when'd you get back to your folks' place?
Quarter after 12.
So you got home just about as we did.
Yep.
And we stayed for the other two races afterwards.
Yeah, it was quarter after 12. I walked in the door like at 12:13 or something.
Sure.
So yeah, late night.
And I was sound asleep.
Every-
And shout out because you didn't wake me up. So,
Yeah, everyone was. So
yeah, but no, I think we're gonna jump right into it because I mean, boy, oh boy, I mean, to kick things off last week, Thursday, when Lucas Oil started, I mean, we've been in brain overload since Thursday with racing. There's just been racing every single night. You name it, you can find racing. So we got a lot to digest today.
but just before we get into that first topic, I see Van Grohl's eyes are wandering a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are keeping an eye both on the Castro Floor Racing Night America is getting kicked off. So it's Tuesday night we're recording. We're a day behind schedule here with the holiday. Castro Floor Racing is going and a high limit is running as well. So if we're kind of glancing around here and we got to interject into conversations, there's going to be something epic coming out of one of these races. So
I was about to say one guy already ended up on his lid. I didn't catch who it was in high limit, but somebody was already on their lid.
yeah, Bobby Pierce won the first
Heat 2.
heat race. Was that heat 2? Yeah, heat 2 for Castro. But okay, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
For a
Yeah.
little bit.
So yeah, I'm full blown ready to go here with my racing. So yeah, we'll be a bit distracted. But yeah, obviously we got a lot to digest over the last weekend, and
A lot of storylines.
yeah, hopefully we don't spin the tires on this restart, but we're gonna give it a good whirl. And obviously before we get into it, episode 36, shouted out USA, obviously coming off a long weekend, so we're recording on Tuesday. Anybody that's active military or former military, from the pit crew to you, thank you for your service. We are the land of the free because of the brave. So before we get into this, us idiots can talk racing because of you. So we appreciate your service. So without further ado, man, let's dive right in. Obviously, we're recording on Tuesday, coming off of Memorial Day, and the writing I feel like has been in the wall. We've been talking a lot about the smoke coming out of the shop at SHR, and the news officially broke today. SHR will close its operations at the end of 2024. I'm going to leave it at that and just ask your guys' initial thoughts.
As I was on my way to a little thing that I had to get to earlier today, I was listening to Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal, he's one of those guys that whatever he reports, I'm trusting 100% on. He's very good at what he does. And the
Yeah.
best way that he put it was he was surprised, but not at the same time. Like you were saying, we saw the writing on the wall, but we're just surprised that it got to this point with that team.
It's just and to that point, this is how I kind of took the news when you read it on Twitter. It's you expected it, but you didn't really process it until you go, okay, Stewart Haas put out a statement that this is it. You know?
Yep.
It's just one of those things that like you're reading the rumors and a rumor is a rumor and people are saying this and nobody knows what's going on, but no one has answers. But then you just go, well, Gene Haas and Tony Stewart have said this is it. So
It's just like taking a college exam and you get a bad score and like you know it's coming and you don't want to believe that it's going to be as bad as what you think it is. And then it hits the grade book and you're like, shit, it actually did happen.
Yeah.
And you know, as much as you can, you know, prepare yourself for it, obviously to see a statement like that come out just sucks as a racing fan. I mean, they've been a staple. Obviously Kevin Harvick has been a staple in that team. Eric Almirola, Kurt Busch. I mean, they've had just a handful of
A lot of good years.
yeah, a lot of good years, a lot of well-known drivers, a lot of established drivers, and for the most part, they did things the right way. So that sucks. And then obviously, you know, there's statement that there's 300 people that are going to be jobless. So that is the unfortunate part of this as well. But I guess, you know, breaking news like that, it obviously gives people, it puts names on the market. Obviously, those 300 people are very good at what they do. Thankful for the charter system in place. Hopefully they all find a place. And already there's smoke. It's just there's smoke.
Things
Talking
are
about
going.
The owner, smoke. Didn't even put that together, but there's already rumors swirling about where the charters are going. So like we said, we got 4 drivers that are now in the market. There's rumors already, 2311, Spire, Front Row, Trackhouse. There's already names being thrown out for charters. So I guess, you know, on the charters and drivers being available, I guess what thoughts you guys have on, you know, first the charter rumors, and then obviously you got 4 drivers available that are going to now be able to start feeling things out. So I guess, you know, what are your guys' thoughts on the charters and then the drivers?
Colin, I want to go first because I want to bring up a point that I heard from Adam during this interview that I heard that could probably sway how business works the rest of the year. From what I heard, or at least from Adam, was the new charter agreement that's supposed to start in 25. That charter agreement is said to be that teams are only allowed a maximum of 3 charters per team. So, i.e., like a 2311 could only have a max of 3 charters unless they bought the 4th, possibly in 24. So, like Hendricks, for example, where they already have 4, they'll get grandfathered into the system where they could still keep their 4th. But if they sell it at one point in time, they can't get it back. So, throwing that out there,
all right.
how's that influence your thoughts as far as what goes on here, as well as piggyback it off of Cam's question?
So I think when I think about it, I think I'm gonna have to stand true, and I still believe that all 4 of those charters are gonna go different directions.
I agree.
There's gonna be 2311's gonna grab one. Spire.
I'm holding off on Spire. I just brought the name up in the conversation, but the 3 that I heard, 2311, Trackhouse,
Trackhouse is absolutely going to take one
and front row.
in front row. Now, front
Thing with front row
row,
too is they're starting to become an A program with Ford as well. So
correct. In that one, just it surprised me a little bit that with the momentum that RFK has currently, that in let's be honest, this isn't settled yet. So RFK could shovel their nose in there somewhere yet too. But I just am surprised a little bit that our front row is more in the conversation than RFK. Now,
yep.
front row also has a car currently available. So when you look at it, they now have
Could have.
5, 6 drivers to pick from that now are currently jobless that could go drive that 34 staying in the Ford camp.
And a possible additional car if they get a charter.
So you could have somebody, and this was another one that I read today. Front row is going to buy a charter and they're going to take Josh Berry.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I also wouldn't be surprised if they take one of those other 3 drivers and stick them in that 34. Again, no, that's another piece too, because that car is open already.
Yep.
So that's a home. That's a home for another driver. So I don't know, but then somebody buys a charter. Does somebody go to 2311 and say, "Well, I'll run a Toyota now"?
Well, and that brings up a point too, was Ford, at this point now, Ford, you could say, has the potential of losing X amount of cars. We're going to say 3 for the fact that we feel like one of them is going to go to front row. So now you're 3 cars out of a field and an already pretty bleak Ford, strength in the starting field.
Yeah.
Every car matters when it comes down to that.
And you could pretty much guarantee the Trackhouse is going to get one, so you lose another one there.
Yep. 2311 is kind of up in the air, but I
They're up
wouldn't
in
see
the
why
air,
they
but
wouldn't.
I just find it hard to believe that Michael Jordan wouldn't want to add a third car given the opportunity,
Yep.
knowing that the bartering prices for the charters are way down right now.
And I know we're talking about this, and I'm gonna say Trackhouse is in it for sure. I feel like just Justin Marks, he just does stuff and then he figures it out.
He's got money like no one's business right now.
But he's
Yeah.
very good at making the big moves as well. He's
Yeah.
done a lot of big moves, and there's another one that this is the recipe for him to make another one.
It just feels like a Marks move to just get in there. And when you feel like he makes a move that is somewhat questionable, he's got everything planned out and it's going to work out. So I feel like Trackhouse is spoken for. I do think the 2311 is, whatever. And to your point too, I'm thinking, Denny's obviously involved in, whatever. Who's not to say that's not Denny's car?
Boy, he's just signed the extension too.
I know, but at some point, maybe they throw
Some
somebody
point
in
they
there.
Well,
have
he's
to-
going to hop over at some point in time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and maybe this is the bridge gap. He just signed his extension, and maybe this is the gap. They get this charter and they throw somebody in for, hey, for whatever the extension was, and then when his next extension's up, he makes the move, or they do, maybe in the future that car is, after Denny's extension is up, maybe he's done, and maybe that's, a colleague superstar car. Denny runs, 7 or 8 races. They bring in, somebody else. Who knows? But I think 2311's in it. And the front row is interesting, but I've read a lot of front row. I did see somebody
Makes total
tweeted at,
sense.
somebody tweeted at Brad K and said, I really wish RFK would be in the mix more for one of these charters. And Brad K just replied and said, only 30 million short with a thumbs up. So
Jesus.
obviously he's thinking from the owner perspective and few dollars short there. But
Yeah.
one question I have for you guys as we kind of wrap this conversation up, talking about drivers. Obviously, there's now 4 drivers on the market. Which driver at this moment do you think has themselves the best position out of the 4 drivers? Who's the most well positioned to land a good ride?
At this moment, at this exact moment, it's Gregson.
I would
Overall,
tend to agree.
overall body of work, Briscoe.
And if you
But
do
the
get a charter and
rumor,
you got to fill a ride and you're looking for a free agent and you've got those 4 to pick, who are you picking?
Gregson.
I was Gregson because he's hot right now, but he's also got the sponsors, the number of
And the fan.
sponsors that he's bringing in,
And the fan vote.
and the fan vote. Yep. So you got the fans behind him. And like I pointed out, what was it last week?
Yep.
That sells merchandise.
Yep.
So,
I think it depends on how you look at it. Overall body of work, Briscoe's won Cup Series races. Now, the other heavy rumor around that is he's going to Wood Brothers to get rid of Burton.
which I would probably agree with you on that.
Burton's been very underwhelming. They got rid of DiBenedetto to get Burton, and DiBenedetto, when you look at them statistically side by side, DiBenedetto's head over heels twice the driver what Burton was. But
And Matty D went in on Paul Menard's recommendation too for that
correct.
ride.
So what if I'm looking right now, I don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Noah Gragson is driving the 34.
Yeah.
In my mind,
Or the charter. I think Gregson's I think Gregson is headed into that Ford. Ford's not going to let him go.
Nope.
Ford doesn't have enough drivers in the pipeline to go, yeah, we can let him go.
I think, and here's where my head goes. My head goes Briscoe, Gregson. I think Briscoe's got the body of work and the experience. Gregson is 1B. He's running well right now. So I think those two are the Ford camp has got to keep those two. Barry is obviously basically he's in his rookie year, so he showed he can do it and he will.
He's come on as the past couple races.
It's going to take him a little bit of time. And who knows, at the end of the year, he might be running well. But I think he will be a name, and that would be somebody that I could see, he makes a manufacturer change where a charter goes, he goes, and then I think consensus is number 4 is he's looking for a ride.
I got one for you. We got to remember, Gregson used to be a Toyota guy. Who's to say he doesn't go to 2311?
2311's got good tech. They got good equipment, so that could be a dangerous combo too.
Again, with him being a former Toyota guy.
Yeah,
Because you got to think with Trackhouse, you're gonna have Zane Smith coming in next year.
Yeah.
SVG is still up in the air. You got AJ Allmendinger hanging around, or not? Sorry, that's Collick. Never mind. But you've got Zane Smith and Shane Van Gisbergen hanging around.
But the collateral damage of the SVG conversation, he's a Trackhouse driver.
Correct.
That's that deal with Collick that they have. He is a Trackhouse guy. So again, that's where it gets interesting because technically Trackhouse has the contract for SVG.
As well as Zane Smith.
They don't have that right. So that's where that relationship with Collick gets interesting because maybe they have a rotating cup car again. Spire gets one, but then they have a rotating cup car, and maybe some of those guys run some Xfinity races.
Sure.
It's all over the place. It's also interesting that all of a sudden now, Noah Gregson's Xfinity team that has all of a sudden resurfaced, and he's running races with them.
Yeah.
This Xfinity program, or this team that he run that super with, they got an Xfinity program now. It's like interesting.
So now you bring up the other good point with the Xfinity. You got 2 drivers in there. Now you got to think about Cole Custer and Riley Herbst,
who both have cup experience.
Custer more than Herbst, but yes.
Herbst has got some starts here and there.
Yep. But that opens a whole nother can of worms now too.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting. One of the points I wanted to make, kind of jumping back to Justin Marks real quick. I told you he's got the flair for making the big moves. He has been very quiet on social media for the past month, almost not posting anything,
Yeah,
which
which
makes
is
you
scary.
think he's got something cooking.
Yep, that's scary. For sure.
So
Well, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll obviously hear more as the year goes on, but
Yeah. And like I said, the unfortunate part is, 300 people are going to be jobless, but, hopefully this gives them, we're not quite halfway through the year. So hopefully this gives everybody adequate time, to, make as smooth as transition as possible to start, hopefully staying
everybody
in,
could
in the
start getting stuff
industry.
figured out.
Yep. And obviously, as tough as it is, hopefully it's the best thing and it allows everybody adequate time to start planning and hopefully stay in the racing industry and find a home with a new team and continue to do what they love. So
I
obviously,
think
go ahead.
sorry, this is one of those interjecting moments here. I think one of the modifieds just hit the light pole or the barrier for the light pole trying to pull into the pits. High limit, if you guys want to.
Classic modified.
That's modified. Yep.
Damn it. I think that's a good transition to the next topic.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously that's going to be a rumor, or not rumor, but there's going to be a lot of rumors throughout the year now with where the SHR guys going, who's getting a charter, who's not. So, I guess we're going to stay tuned. We'll probably be chiming in on our socials as we hear. So, stay tuned. Yeah, kind of sucks. SHR has been a staple in the sport and done a lot of good things for the sport. So, tough day for NASCAR, but luckily we have the charter system and hopefully we can not remove but replace. So without further ado, let's get into our next random segment that we love doing, just beat bopping around. So we've been trying out some different segments and things we have fun with. Just 5 minutes of 5 minutes of fast facts. Just random racing facts that the boys come across or random things that pop in their mind. And trust me, we're always thinking about racing. And when we're laying in bed, it's like, oh yeah, there's a fun fact that I wish I would talk about. This is the segment for that. The late night thoughts, the work thoughts. Whenever we're thinking about racing, we got random thoughts. So just brace yourself for the segment. You never know what you're going to get. I'll kick it off to the Jackman. He'll rip it right away.
So kind of been digging into this flow racing night in America. And it had been last December we came across this. So country singer Dylan Scott. Coming to find out, he is an avid dirt late model guy. We did not know this until the Dome. He's got a booth in the Dome. He sponsors all the music for the Dome. He does all that, every entertainment for the Dome. Well, 2024, he is the official voice of the Castrol Flow Racing Night in America. So he sponsored all the music. He hops on, does a little Zoom call before the race. They kind of talked to him a little bit. But he actually, when you look at his bucket list of races here, well, he's starting to check a few off. And man, oh man, it'd be nice to be doing a couple of these. He's headed to the Prairie Dirt Classic. He's going to the World 100. And then come to find out, he's really good friends with Shannon Babb. So he's kicked Babb a few tickets to go to concerts, and then on Castrol every night to give Babb a hard time. You know, what the hell? You're not going to invite Dylan Scott to go hunting with you or what? But pretty cool deal. You know, they get him on there and he promotes it and he loves it and he's been around it. And he just said they were talking about the Prairie Dirt Classic weekend and he goes, yeah, the bus will roll into the racetrack about 2:00 and I got the weekend off. He goes, yeah, I think we're going to have a really good time. So just kind of a random tidbit that we just had kind of come across as, as we think about ways to promote the sport and grow the sport, but that is one guy right there that he's dipping his toes into dirt late models and he's not afraid. So pretty cool deal to see Dylan Scott being a huge part of some massive events for dirt late model racing.
So I want to add to that, and I'm hoping I can find the tweet or figure out who posted it. I forget what track this gentleman where this was from, but apparently Shane Gillis, the comedian, is also a little bit of a dirt late model fan, or at least a dirt racing fan. I forget the track that posted it, but they posted a photo of him in the infield at one of their races.
Hell yeah.
Came in unannounced, just there to enjoy the race, all that jazz. But apparently he's a bit of a fan too. So just to add on to that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's, and again, when you think about the demographic of the people that are going to watch dirt late model racing, it's going to be your blue collar rural community. That's the biggest pull that they're going to get for those races. And he's a big star now, but he's country boy is what it comes down to, hunting and fishing. And he's connecting with these drivers, and Shannon Babb is one of them that
Well,
he's connected with these guys, and it's another opportunity for him to, especially with the platform he has, promote the sport that we love.
I'm going to interject here again. Speaking of Shannon Babb, he just won his B feature, so he transfers into the main.
Dylan Scott's on it's his wedding anniversary tonight. He said they're going out to dinner, and he goes, "I'll be good tonight if I give her 95% of the attention, and my phone is the other 5% leaned up against my drink cup watching the race." He goes, "As long as she gets 95%, we'll be okay."
Yep. Attaboy.
No, and I think too, to your point, sometimes I feel like the hardest part for, us as diehard race fans is just to get these people involved. And once they get there and they see it for the first time in person, it is like, bang. You're like, yeah, you just want to be a fan. And so, yeah, obviously I think, plus the dirt late model scene, I think just epitomizes, country music, just blue collar, hardworking guys, and then country music and a lot of racers post race.
Yep.
There's a lot of similarities there. Drinking a few beers, you'll hear just race car drivers after a win, Devin Moran, Turbo, guys that'll just after they win a race or after night race, they're just hanging out in the pits with a cooler of beer, drinking beer, and just that blue collar, hardworking mentality. And yeah, I think it's obviously super cool. The two resonate really well, and none of us are going to complain if we continue to get names like that at racetracks. So
I still remember Marty Smith when Dale Jr. ran his last race at Homestead. Marty Smith was down in the pits. He was doing his interview with with ESPN or for ESPN, getting that initial moment out of the car and after his last race type of thing. And infamously, he had that cooler Budweiser sitting on the tailgate of the car.
Yep.
And Dale says, "Well, what do you want to do?" Marty looks over to one of the crew guys. "Give me one of them beers."
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah,
it's just great to see somebody like that has a platform like that stayed connected to this world as someone that was at racetracks as a young kid.
Yep.
And maybe
Michael Jordan's a good example of that.
He's another one. That's another great one that, loves racing. Luckily for us, he's got a boatload of money that he goes, "Yeah, I'll go racing." He could do it at a whole different level, but what it comes down to is he got himself involved in somebody that might not watch racing will watch racing because they get the chance to see Michael Jordan on TV.
Yep. 100%. Or because Michael Jordan is involved.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, another thing too, last kind of thing too, thinking about it, the other thing is, for a country star like Dylan Scott to be as big a fan as he is too, a lot of these dirt tracks that you go to, I mean, obviously in our world, they're huge races, but it's grassroots racing. I mean, you go to some of these racetracks and it's a town of 2,500 people.
Yeah.
But
And
to
racetrack keeps
us,
the town afloat.
yeah, that racetrack brings in to us the Aaron Rodgers of the racing world. Like when we went to Cedar Lake, I don't know how big New Richmond is. It's not a super big town, but you go there and it's like we walk in there and it's like Bobby Pierce, Jonathan Davenport, and Ricky Thornton Jr. all at one track. It was like
It's like the all-star game of dirt racing.
literally, it is like
Yeah.
for us, it's like the LeBron James coming to Wisconsin. So
For the record, New Richmond is just a tad over 10,000.
so
Okay.
yeah, obviously 10,000, but yeah, I think it's just like, a country star, a lot of, their music, grassroots, small town, whatever. And that goes for asphalt as well. A lot of these tracks that you guys go to and we go to, they're not, so a lot of times the dirt track is the life of the town. So
Yep. Even the cornfield of the town, in the case that transitions to this next topic.
yeah, so super cool. We love when, look, we love having new fans come on board, but we get especially excited when you get names like Dylan Scott and Shane Gillis and people like that, because it only takes them to promote it or, send out a tweet or post an Instagram story for somebody like that to see, and we got new eyes on the sport. So, yeah, super cool. Dylan Scott's obviously going to be well involved in the Castrol flow racing night in America. So, going to be fun. But talking about grassroots racing, that transitions right into the next topic. Long weekend, no surprise, we had boots on the ground at a track. Midwest Tour at Jefferson. Per usual, we had the Jackman and the tire changer, boots on the ground. And I was watching courtesy of our tire changer.
Also, I did love your comment, Kellen.
I'll
So
send you some more.
yeah, backstory before we get too far into this. So I'm on my way down to the track. Kellen's gonna meet me there as well. And we like Cam comes in, he's like, hey, can I borrow somebody's login to watch the race tonight? Kellen goes, yeah, I'll give you mine. And he gives him my login information.
No, you guys sent me a stern message saying, hey,
Oh
don't,
yeah, you need to
guys
watch
said,
tonight.
hey,
Yeah.
make sure you're watching. We're going to be discussing this on the podcast next week. And I'm like, okay, yep, I'll tune in. And then Kellen asked for a login, and Kellen's like, yep, I'll get you my login. And then he sends me.
I've got a card. I just don't have the subscription, but no, that was funny.
You're welcome, by the way.
I knew you would get a
Yeah.
laugh out of that, so I had to do it because it'd just be funny. Be like, what the hell?
Yep. Yo, no, you definitely got a laugh out of me on that one.
That's funny.
Yeah. So obviously, big race, Midwest Tour at Jefferson. Obviously last week, Van Girl, you alluded to it on the podcast, just talking about you were excited for Kellen to get there. Just kind of a unique track. Tight corners, different on each end, a little bit more banking on one corner. And just watching it online, it was just unique. It's hard to describe, and I can only but imagine what it was like in person, but tell you one thing from online, it put on some good racing.
And they wrecked some stuff.
Wrecked some stuff, a lot of different lines. So yeah, I'll just kick it off to you guys. Wherever you guys want to start. You guys are boots on the ground, and
well, it started on lap 3 when they tried to tear the nose off of Ryan Farrell's car and deep in the field, who unfortunately we were looking, Van Grollo and I were talking like, oh, we might stop down at the hauler. He's got gear after racing, we'll buy gear. And we kind of joked, we look at each other after the nose got tore off of that car and tires are hanging down. We just go, well, everything on the apparel menu just went up $10.
Yeah.
But no, lap 3, they tore a bunch. They tore what was it, two cars up, 3 cars up,
It was
him,
2
Swan,
over in that one.
him and Swan,
Yep.
and then they got that mangle cleaned up, and then they restarted, and we didn't get a lap in, and
Wrecked in 3.
we wrecked in 3, and
Piled
we had
them.
7 cars. I haven't seen a wreck like that in person in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with that track too, is if they start wrecking in front of you, it's very hard to get away from anybody.
Even like Edmund said, he had it rolled up enough to keep himself out of trouble, but they were coming behind him, and he just got monster trucked.
Yeah.
Yep. And unfortunate for him, he said obviously post race he was kind of just said nowhere to go, and he had whoever it was behind him, some bulls with that monster trucked him, as he said. And the unfortunate part of this, which is if you go to the racetrack while you buy a t-shirt, like him, he's coming off a solid run at Madison a few weeks ago, really solid run. And then something like this happens, and he just was obviously dejected after the wreck, and they interviewed him on the track, and he's like, yep, we're going to be done racing for a while now. So
Same thing sounds like from Swan. That car got a little beat up from underneath the Panhard bar. I think both sides of the suspension, right around the wheel hubs, were bent. Heard the same thing from Swan on Monday. That sounded like he might be done in the super for a little while.
Yeah. Rebound in the truck.
But yeah, obviously, once we got through, everybody settled in a little bit there. No surprise, Ty Majeski shows up, and as he always is a heavy favorite to win a race, and he grabs the lead on lap 4 and really never looks back. Couple cautions here and there. Couple chances to regroup. Strong run from Vandergeest, Summers, some of those guys, but just per usual, Majeski's just the class of the field. And so,
which I was a little surprised he was there to start off with.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to deny it. He's star power that brings some people in, but
Well, in the post race interview, I think as Eric would say, I think he just ruined a few people's days when he goes, well, we're 3 for 3, we might as well keep doing this.
yeah.
You got somebody like Summers who's chasing a back-to-back championship going, can you just go away?
Johnson, who's maybe looking to make have a comeback year.
Yeah. Hey, don't you have truck responsibilities or something going on?
Yep.
So
and especially too,
now,
since he didn't run the Nationals tour either.
Yeah, no, I say that in all due racing respect of, yes, he is really good, and these guys learn from him for sure.
Yep.
When you're around him, and it makes their racecraft better for themselves too. And I just say that with didn't you have something else going on?
Yep.
So no, that's no knock on anyone by any means. It's just yes, go away for a little bit.
Go do your truck thing.
So my 2 questions to you guys does anybody have anything when he shows up to the track to beat him? Is there anybody that can? I guess the 2 questions is if anybody can beat him, who's it going to be? And the second question is, what is it that him and Toby have that nobody else can figure out? Because
nobody knows. That's the
Nobody,
thing.
yeah.
Nobody knows. And what's going to beat Ty Majeski is something that's not his own doing.
He's something as simple as having a hollowed out bolt because Toby made a mistake.
Or somebody wrecks in front of him and he can't get out of the way.
Yep.
That's what it's going to be.
I mean, he's won the Snowball Derby twice. That car gets torn down in tech at the Snowball Derby. That is a legal car. But for it to be that good, wherever he goes.
Is what it comes down to. Is it just solely the talent behind the wheel?
Well,
I mean, you got to have a good piece of equipment too. And I don't think there's no secret that he's got quite a bit of money behind him, but you still got to make that car turn.
And that's where Toby comes in. And it's pretty evident that you could potentially say that between Toby and Ty Majeski, those two would be a top 3 crew chief driver super late model duo in the country.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
you could take them to any racetrack and they could loan that car and they'd be able to figure it out and go, you know what? We'll be there at the end.
That's the thing. There's not many tracks that he goes to where he struggles hard that are new.
New.
What if
Not at all.
in the
And now
next
that
couple of weeks we get a
tour, he's got all this time that, and he made the comment in his interview. He felt like a couple of years ago we kind of got away from this. We felt like our program was lacking a little bit. We decided that we needed to get back into doing this a little bit more to stay on top of it. Well, now he's on top of it, and no one can seem to tug on Superman's cape.
Yep.
So what I'm gathering is when he shows up, he's going to win.
I mean,
My question to you guys is
three.
who, so he's going to be top 3 everywhere he shows up. That's just a fact between the equipment and the driver. Obviously, Ty is an incredibly talented driver in a late model. He's figured it out as a late, like you said, he's dang near won everything he's ever entered in at some point. So all else being said, he's going to be top 3. That's consensus when he shows up to these races. Who are going to be the other 2 that are going to try to push him or compete with him?
I think it's got to be the other 2 that we mentioned earlier, Summers and Johnson.
Yeah.
Maybe DeAngelis if he shows up somewhere.
Yeah, DeAngelis is solid when he shows up.
He likes his Dells, Kakan, and Madison are DeAngelis' 3 best tracks, I feel like.
Yep. Yeah.
So if anybody's got any,
piece there,
what's that?
he'll put together good pieces at those tracks.
Yep. Otherwise, on a I guess more regular basis, it has to be Summers or Johnson, I would say.
Yeah,
Ben House has fallen off a little bit here this year too.
he just isn't running.
Correct.
But
Johnson and Summers, that would be my answer.
now you might go to a track where you might have a weekly guy be competitive.
I was going to say, is that going to be a circumstance where you get, somebody that only runs 3 tracks that's really dialed in at those 3 tracks that, like a DeAngelis, a Madison, a Dells, that those are his really, a local guy or a weekly guy that is absolutely dialed in on, this track. Is that?
They got to have an absolute perfect day if they're going to compete. I mean, it's got to be perfect.
You got to be top 2 in practice. You got to go out and be quick time, and then you got to win your heat race.
You got to get a good invert.
And then you got to roll a 1.
Or hope that somebody rolls you into a good starting spot.
Yeah, you qualify in the mid to low single digits, and then hope that puts you on the front row.
Yeah.
What was the invert?
7 plus the roll, which was 2.
9.
Yep.
So we wrecked some cars, but for perspective, Majeski started 9th.
Third.
He started.
He started 3rd.
Got it. So where'd he qualify?
He would have qualified 7th.
5th or 7th. Yeah,
Would have been 7th.
So you put him inside row 2 right out of the gate.
Yeah.
You see the problem here?
Yeah, we got serious problems.
Well, we put the over under on how many laps he would take the lead.
The number was 8.
And I went the under. I was the only one that hit on under.
So does somebody like that,
Jim took the over.
My question is with that is knowing they're going to invert the field, do you ever sandbag it a little bit in qualifying?
Oh,
See, so we brought that up a while back. We talked about that with the Snowball Derby and Slinger Nationals. For races like that,
Snowball Derby and Slinger Nationals qualifying
You
time
can't.
is way too close at times. If
Exactly.
you try to sandbag it, you're going to be in an LCQ.
Oh, I bet you I'm not going to be able to get it. I was going to say I could look up. I'm going to look it up here, see if I can find the old qualifying here. All right, here we go. So we'll do invert time here. So we'll do top 9 since that's what the invert was. So from fast time to 9th place was, we'll call it a 10th of a second to 9th place.
So there's no real sandbagging.
No.
If you want to go farther back, Fredrickson, who was in 10th, was 1300ths of a second. So a little over a 10th.
No, not even a 10th there, my guy.
No, it's more, it was 0.130. 1300ths.
You sure?
Yeah. Or 13/10ths, really. No, whatever it is. 0.130.
We're not math guys.
Correct.
So moral of the story is there is no sandbagging.
It's hard to do. Yeah.
Nobody, what it comes down to is no matter how good you are, you don't have it dialed in to the point that you can do it within those margins.
Yeah.
That's what the
If
reality
you're
is.
if you're missing it, you're not part of the invert.
Correct. Yep. And then you're buried behind all the invert cars anyways.
Yep.
But the actual race results themselves. Let's dig into that as long as we are.
As you're digging, then the thing with that place too is, especially on the restarts, that bottom line is so preferred. I mean, you saw a ton of guys with the choose option that just hit that bottom. Maybe the 3rd place guy or 4th place guy would jump up, and probably was not a bad thing because with the way that Majeski was launching on the restarts, that guy just jumped in right behind when that spot opened up.
Yeah. Your race results. Tom Majeski is the winner. Levon Vandergeest, P2. Casey Johnson, 3. Summers, 4. Stenjum, 5. Ty Fredrickson, 6th. Mondyke, 7. Kaler, 8. Eddie Hoffman, 9. Braden Berge, 10. Lynch, Valento, Westenberg, Swan, Miller, Scholze, Mullen, Schaefer, Scheel, Radke, Haver, Devoy, Edmonds, King, Farrell round out your field.
Again, took out some good cars on that turn 3 caution. So
yeah, that was King, that was Haver, that was Schaefer, that was Devoy.
Yep.
Edmonds. There's 7 cars in there, and 1 rolled away.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the other thing that came up with it too. I don't know if I'm maybe jumping the gun here a little bit, but somebody got, as you said, you added another track to your repertoire here, your resume.
I did.
Means you also got another chance at the old concession stands here.
Ooh, caution at the concession stands makes another appearance. Yep, we had another cheeseburger. You know, it's all right. It was the bun was open. We ordered one, the bun was laying on the counter was open with the cheese laying there, and I'm like, all right, we'll see when they flop a burger in there, they fold it over, give it to you. I'm like, yeah, all right. The burger to bun ratio, heavy on the bun. Not much burger in there. The cheese was all right. It's okay.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bun. The bun was pretty solid. But I was looking for a little more there, you know.
Sure.
Like they just wasn't there. I don't know. The combo of the ratios were just not right. But all in told, what that came down to is that one came in at a 5.6.
Wow.
Out of 10.
Needless to say, he's not getting another cheeseburger at Jefferson.
So looking down the rankings here, so my last week's episode, we had Madison, Dells, Slinger, Darlington. And then Jefferson, we can just put that one as the caboose so far. Tough, but I'm gonna be honest. That's
Yeah.
what you're gonna get. It's cutthroat.
I am gonna leave a track anonymous here, but you guys probably know what one I'm talking about. I had a burger here recently. We got a DNF out of that one. It's just I was aiming for the chicken tenders, didn't have any, and it just yeah.
Hey, we're going back. We're going back to a top 2 racetrack here this weekend, so we're gonna rebound.
Yep.
Contend for the title.
Sands?
No. Oh, we're going to Dells this coming weekend, but
Yep.
No.
What?
Sands? Was it was it
Yeah.
DNF?
I don't know. It wasn't sitting well.
oof. But yeah, that's the updated.
Anyways,
That's the updated cheeseburger caution at the concession stands. That's the updated cheeseburger rankings.
yeah.
Brutal.
So,
I'm gonna be brutal, but I'm gonna shoot it to you straight on this whole deal. There ain't no sugarcoating this.
yeah. So obviously, good race at Jefferson. A lot of different lines. Obviously, we talked about it. Majeski is the man. He's 3 for 3 on his ASA events and wins. So if you're looking for you and your buddies are going to throw some money in the pot at the next race, and you're getting to pick somebody, it's a pretty good pick. So Majeski wins it. Levon Vandergeest, solid run, finishes second. Casey Johnson third. Gabe Summers fourth, and Riley Stenjem, solid run for him, finishes fifth. So that rounds out your top 5. And obviously the caution at the concession stand, cheeseburger, did not pan out. So when you're in the 5s, it's not good. So sounds like the burger to bun ratio just wasn't quite there. Yeah. But hey, tire changer, you get a little frisky at the concession stand or
No.
nope?
Nope. Actually, no, I should say that. I did dip into some pizza at Jefferson.
Oh, man, good New York flop or no?
No flop. Is actually, I mean, it was probably about yay thick between the crust and the cheese on her. I got the last slice of pizza they had available out of everything. I got the last slice of pizza and I fucking ran with that thing.
Good?
Yeah, it was good. No.
I'm gonna one of these, maybe the Dells this weekend. I'll do something crazy.
Do the taco truck.
I'll do it.
Jose's Mexican restaurant.
Anyways, yeah, stay tuned. Hey, first time pit crew member expanded the palette a little bit at the concession stand. So obviously tune in. Sounds like the boys are going to be boots on the ground again next weekend. So maybe get a second run at another cheeseburger here. Might be the first duplicate rating potentially. See if it because that is another thing you gotta think about. You know, maybe it's just an off day at the concession stand. Sometimes you try something, you go back and at a different time and it's way better. So stay tuned for that. But obviously Jefferson was a good race, good event, and yeah, love late model racing. But getting on to our next topic here. We had on this, you could say the greatest day in motorsports. No shortage of racing. You could wake up right away on Sunday morning and be dialed into F1. So F1 race at Monaco. And I'll just kick it off to you guys. Not a whole lot to talk about here, but I'll let you guys start on the old F1 at Monaco.
Yeah, so I mean there were two big things that three really big things that came out of this one. One was the big wreck on lap 1 that took out both of the Haas cars, which were already had their qualifying times disallowed, which you could say somebody pinched somebody off or somebody didn't let up or whatever the case was. But either way, you had 3 wrecked cars that brought the red flag out. They gave teams the option to change tires under the red flag and opened up the opportunity for no pit stops during the race, which a lot of teams took advantage of. And as I had mentioned on my race preview, overtaking at Monaco is very, very difficult, if not impossible. So that opened up a lot of team strategy to, ooh, we got our early whiteboard appearance here. All right, so whiteboard is F1 racing or just playing one big game of follow a leader? I'd rather watch paint
Watch
dry.
paint dry.
Wow. Yikes. So, but that brings up one of my points was the top 10 finished the way that they started.
Top 10 finished right where they started.
Yep.
There's no passing.
Yep.
There's no zones to even make a pass. Let's be honest. If you were going to do it, someone is going to have to be on a different strategy to be easy on tires and fuel mileage.
I think there was more passes throughout the field on the final lap of the Indy 500 than there was at the entire race of Monaco. If I'm going to be completely honest.
Statistically, you're probably not wrong.
If not last 2 laps.
Either way, that's besides the point.
Yep.
Brent Marks just won the dash by, I'm not kidding you, about a half a lap. So.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just saw that here. Holy cow.
Yeah, Kellen, that was a Sunday morning tune in for you and I when you rolled out of bed and we were watching it. And like, we legitimately watched it for probably an hour.
We watched until we watched the finish of the race.
We watched the finish of the race. We watched that whole
because there was a red flag on lap 1, and then we sat down and we watched the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, that was legitimately painful. Legitimately, I think broadcasted, there was probably 2 or 3 passes broadcasted. After that, it's like it's time trial laps.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. There's a couple guys that either lost a spot or gained a spot on either in laps or out laps on pit road that wasn't actual passing.
Yeah. The only good thing that I think came out of it, and I don't know if I would call it the only good thing. Charles Leclerc finally got his win at his home track. He's had some pretty bad luck there for a while. Finally got the win at his home track.
Everyone was excited.
Yep.
You could
see a good feel-good story.
Yeah. You could see that everyone was excited.
Yep. So, but like I said, the Indy 500, the passing quite wasn't there. A race that wasn't short of passing, I think of the 3 was the race of the day, was the Indy 500.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know how much of the race you guys ended up watching.
I got to watch a fair amount.
But I was
last 90 or so laps.
I was thoroughly enjoying that entire race.
Yeah, it was from what I watched was obviously incredible, and that move that Newgarden put on there at the last lap was
he pulled that move off a couple times.
Yeah, and I saw he was on Pat McAfee this morning, and he said he always tries to put it in football terms for Americans, and he basically said after he got passed by Pato, it's like giving Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady the ball left with 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yep.
He basically said, he's like, I had 1 lap to time it out just right to get my run, and I knew exactly when I had to go. That would, when I wanted to make my run and when I wanted to make the move, that he wouldn't have a shot to get me back. So wild move. Gets the run, does it on the outside too.
Which the outside was a lot better than what it hasn't been in years past, but still a very, very risky move to pull that off.
That was crazy, actually.
So I mean, there was a lot of passing throughout the entire race, throughout the entire pack. It was, we've talked about aero struggles with the Cup cars. There was no aero struggles with these cars and these guys. They were in gal. They were on it.
Yeah.
So, some rookies struggled, which you typically see. Some rookies did pretty well, and we'll talk about one of them here in a bit. Honda had a pretty rough go at it. They had quite a few motors expire on them throughout the race. There was differing pit strategies going on that got some guys from the back of the field towards the front. Um, I mean, that race had just about everything that you could have wanted other than the 4-hour rain delay,
Yep.
in my opinion.
And at the end of the day, we ain't gonna beat Mother Nature, so we
Nope.
made it work.
And you had mentioned it, kind of hinted at that Newgarden got his second win, consecutive win in this one, which first time it's been done in 22 years that somebody went back to back with Helio Castroneves doing it last time. Got an extra $440,000 for going back to back. That was a bonus for him. And obviously on the other end of that, Pato Award just absolutely devastated about losing the race that race that way. But I think everybody knew that he very well could have won that race, and nobody is letting him down for anything. He held his head up high, gave a very raw, emotional interview. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but dropped an F-bomb.
Oops.
But you could see the emotion that he had and how big of a deal it is.
It's the Indy 500.
Yep.
That's all you have to say. It's the Indy 500.
Yeah.
And everybody pretty much said you will be a future winner of this race.
Yep. And obviously, in hindsight, you look back, maybe he saves that move for the backstretch as opposed to making that move,
Yep.
coming across the line. Because Newgarden and Penske obviously were class of the field cars, so you knew they were dang good. But
Yeah.
obviously made the move a bit too soon. And yeah, obviously for us, Kyle Larson, I would say a solid performance, to be honest with you.
Exceeded expectations, I would say.
Yeah.
And without, he missed a shift and his pit road speeding penalty, which absolutely at the end of it was the dagger.
Yep.
He was running well. And they said, when he missed, and they missed that shift, when I was watching the start of it and he climbed in the car, they just said the biggest thing, his biggest worry is like some of these starts that he just said, no, you can't simulate this as much simulator work as he's done and as much practice runs as he's done and driving in traffic. He couldn't simulate a start or a restart. So, obviously a solid day from him. Sucks that the penalty, he had the penalty and missed shift, but look, that guy's a certified wheelman, and I'm glad we got him in our sport.
Two things I want to bring up here real quick. I want to go back to Pato Award. Did you guys see his amazing save that he had in turn 2 where he was hacksawing at that wheel?
Yep.
Holy cow. I mean, everybody pretty much said that he should have wrecked that thing twice, and he didn't.
Yep.
So we got a lot of praise for that. And then with Larson, I don't think he was gonna have a car to win that race, but where he was running that 6th place position, even 5th place, he could have very well stayed up there and been there if something happened, type of thing.
Yeah. Given the circumstances, he'd had a car that had the leaders get tangled up and or something happens on the last lap or two, he'd have had a shot at it.
Yep. So no, I was very impressed with his Indy run. There's a lot of, everybody's saying, oh, I wonder if he's going to run it again. And, it's not totally confirmed, but it was supposedly a 2-year deal for him to do this. So,
yeah.
So yeah, obviously, Newgarden, as we mentioned, goes back to back. Pato, devastated. That's the unfortunate part of racing. Is you see somebody's dreams come true and somebody's dreams get shattered. So obviously fantastic race. Was absolutely electric. If you saw the graphic between the F1 and the IndyCar passes, you'll see why we are raving about the race and the passing. So yeah, was fantastic. Any other final thoughts on Monaco or the Indy 500?
No,
I got to get to the 500. I have to. The place is electric and it never disappoints.
It's a spectacle.
no. Greatest day in motorsports.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, sticking on the greatest day in motorsports, let's get to the Coke 600 or the Coke 375.5.
Peace.
Damn it.
Yeah.
What thoughts do the boys have?
A disappointing end to what was going to be a great day.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's the gist of it. And again, we kind of talk about Larson, him not being able to, he ultimately was not able to run the double because of how the weather and everything turned out to be. Well, I feel so bad. I really do. And I mean, you saw it from his tweet. One of you guys posted the interview that he had on NBC. I mean, you could just tell that he was just dejected and not in a good space.
Yeah. It makes you think long and hard about doing it again.
Yep. And then obviously, with the race the way that it turned out as well, left kind of a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths with how that race ended and everything like that too. So I think
Yeah.
it was turning into a great race. It's just we didn't get to see the rest of it.
Correct. It's like we got teased a little bit, and then they said, "Yeah, we're good."
Yep.
Yeah, obviously Larson, you're gutted for him. Just as dejected as he was, but obviously sounds like he wants to do it again next year, which is why he isn't human or like the rest of us, because you know, he wants to do it again. But also, like this was his, now he's got the logistics of it figured out. That doesn't have to be a stress for him next year.
Knows it
He
can be done.
he knows the logistics of it. This was a trial run. Hey, I know how all the flights are going to work. I know this, what's going to happen. Obviously, it's still going to be a tremendous amount of work, but that's one less thing he has to worry about. And if
And
Mother
the
Nature,
Yep,
go ahead.
and the preparation for the Indy 500 too.
Yeah. He's got one under his belt. So I feel like that's one less thing, Mother Nature cooperates and he has a smooth day. So obviously we love him. Hopefully he'll be able to do it again. But the Coke 600, I mean, the first 375.5 that we had, I mean, shit, it was racy.
Yep. You had that long reflag run to kind of start things out. Guys were kind of swapping positions back and forth. But then when was it? Yeah, it was Gregson that hit the wall first, wasn't it? That bring out that first caution.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then cautions breed cautions, and then you had the couple of runs going, and a little bit of tire strategy here and there, and that's when things kind of really started to unravel. And like we were saying, that's when the race really kind of started to get going.
Yeah. And cautions breed cautions. Your old boy.
I am officially on the concerned side now.
Oh,
Whoa, the old boy.
I'm concerned.
The
I
old
told
boy.
myself I was gonna give myself up until the Coke 600 to let it go. Now I'm on the concerned side.
Yeah, so we're referencing Ryan Blaney. Blows the tire and ends his night early. Like he said, he's said in his interview too, which sucked. He just said we missed it in qualifying, and he said he was just looking forward to 600 miles and being able to work on it and get it better. But old RB12 takes an exit early, but
Yeah.
And obviously, Mother Nature looming. The threat of rain obviously ramps up the intensity. Guys are racing a little bit harder than they typically would, and yeah, it just sucks, the Mother Nature thing.
And I think you saw two examples of that. One, you saw, and this is going to be a good brief conversation, Hamlin and Busher, their little pit deal going on.
Did
Yep.
you guys watch that?
I mean, I didn't listen to the whole interview of it or the whole discussion of it yet, but
It's 3 minutes and like 50 seconds, and watch it. Busher literally cannot hit his pit box with a car in front of him. He does it every time. Hamlin's got to put it in reverse, and
yeah,
Hamlin and Gabe Hart were. Hamlin at one point says, "I've done all I can fucking do. Somebody go over there and fucking talk to him." And
I think
then
it's the
they
first
tell
time you
him,
really heard Chris and Hamlin kind of go at it with each other.
yeah. And then they said to him, can you move back a foot and a half on your stop? And then he's like, no, I'm not. Somebody go over there and talk to him. And they got started getting rammy. And then they obviously Gabe Hart hits him with the, hey, let's calm down. We're going to be just fine. But Buddy was hitting reverse to get out of his pit box 4 times in a row.
Yeah. That's huge. That's costly.
Yeah, it's deadly on pit road.
But yeah, it's a 3-minute video, and go listen to Gabe Hart and Hamlin go at it. It was, and then you could see. Too bad they didn't get to go green again, because I think Denny was trying to teach Busher once they first called it for the track being wet. Denny and Chris were having quite the conversation on pit road, so I think Denny was educating him. So yeah, that was definitely
box.
literally, and that why Denny was losing his shit on the radio was he's like, it's 4 times in a row. Like, it's not one time because he missed, somebody in front of him, the 42 was short on their box or, whatever. He's like, it's 4 times in a row. He can't figure it out. So that's why
Yeah.
Denny's losing his shit. But it was pretty funny. But I think another wow moment was the old slipstream by William Byron coming across
The pass in the grass.
Yep.
That was badass. There's no other way to put it. That was badass.
Yep, absolutely. That's when you just send it, you gotta hope it sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was I was thoroughly impressed with that one. Thank God that thing was turf. Or otherwise that nose would have been ripped off.
Correct. There'd have been some trouble.
Yep. The other side of this whole Larson deal was obviously Justin Allgaier jumped into the car for Larson, started in the tail for the driver swap, was doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Brought that car up. I heard a brief little radio communication that he had with Cliff Daniels. Allgaier was giving back very good feedback, but Cliff Daniels was also giving back for good feedback as far as how he could be better with that car.
Yep.
But at one point they were talking about, he's like, I just seem like I keep getting beat in the turns, and Daniel's like, well, your lift point's pretty good. Try and using the brake a little bit more to get it to lift off the track type of thing. So they were doing very good. Daniel's very supportive, and I think the entire team was very appreciative of what Allgaier did.
Side note real quick, Castro Super Late Models getting ready to rip for their 50 lap feature. Fager Pierce, row 1, Garrett Smith, Spencer Hughes, row 2, RTJ, row 3, with Miles Moose, Jake Little, O'Neill, row 4, Bishop, Tyler Erb, row 5, Max Blair, Garrett Alverson, row 6. So those guys are getting ready to rip and rock and roll at this little bull ring.
Yeah.
So
no, otherwise, I mean, Christian Bell ends up taking the win in the rain shortened race. He was going to be tough to beat. He had a really good car too.
yeah, for sure. They were dialed in.
I'm looking up come on, here it is. Chris Bill, Brad Keselowski, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick, and Denny Hamlin were top 5. Gibbs, Elliott, Chastain, Bowman, and Barry round up top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So.
was obviously it was like Kellen said, a little bit of a tease. Just getting good, and then it gets swiped away from us. So
Yep.
It was shaping up to be a heck of a race. And then obviously you could see that. I don't know if what you guys scroll across on social media, but NASCAR was getting a lot of dirt, or not happy messages based on some of the pictures that people that stuck around. They called it because of humidity, but you could stick around and see some of the people that stuck around and stuck it out. Took pictures of the track shortly thereafter with no air titans on the track, and track's pretty dang dry.
And I've heard mixed reviews about that too. Some people said that it was still pretty wet. Some of them said it was dry. So, I mean, obviously we got to trust in the track decision. They know how everything works there the best. But who's to say maybe there wasn't some outside influence? But who knows? We're not privy to that type of information, at least not yet.
Correct.
So, yeah, obviously, sucky situation there. Like I said, we can beat a lot of things in life, but in racing we can't beat Mother Nature. So, Christopher Bell gets a rain shortened Coke 600 win, first real crown jewel of the year, or second one. Yeah, I guess any other final thoughts on the Coke 600?
Do we want to touch on this waiver thing, or do we want to let it simmer and maybe talk about it next week? See what all
I
comes
think
of this.
I think we talk about when something comes to this.
Big news out of it is that nothing's been filed yet. Yeah, it's just weird.
They haven't, correct. Hendrick hasn't filed the playoff waiver for Larson yet. So
Stay tuned. We'll be talking about it when news breaks. Our socials will break it or try to be on it, and then you can expect the Stones to, as we always do,
give
give
their
our opinion.
opinions.
Correct.
But
Yeah, we'll save that for another week. Once some news breaks, you guys want to hit on some other winners from this weekend?
hell yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously we had a ton of racing that went on this weekend. We didn't touch on it a whole lot, but the ASA Stars National Tour also ran on Thursday night. Cole Butcher ends up winning that one. Logan Seavey and Brady Bacon have some pretty good nights with the USAC sprint cars. Zach Dahm, Carter Sarf. I thought there was one more on there. Yep, Ryan Timms. They all raced at Millbridge this week in Atomic. They all had pretty good runs. Logan Seavey won again. Ricky Thornton, he keeps having a good year. He won on the Lucas Oil Series. Nick Sanchez won the truck race. David Grau continues his strong season. He won on World Outlaws. Bobby Pierce won again. Sheldon Haudenschild won again. Cannon McIntosh won again. Jonathan Davenport won again. Brandon Butterbean Queen, he got himself a win at Tri-County this weekend. Went flag to flag for his race. So he had a really good one, getting kind of piggybacking off of his good truck run at North Wilkesboro last weekend.
Yeah.
Danny Dietrich won a very, very good race at High Limit. Would have been on Sunday night. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
And then, kind of up by us, Golden Sands, Ty Fredrickson won again in a rain shortened race. Jeff Holtz got his second win on the season, the truck race. And our boy Brand Reichenberger had a good run again. Top 5 for him.
P8 actually.
Oh, P8.
He ended up 8th.
Gotcha.
But
Because he got caught on that restart. That's right.
either way, but Holtz goes back to back at Golden Sands.
Yep.
Won that a year ago. So
Yep.
pretty cool deal there as well. So
Didn't even shout out, Jonathan Davenport cashed a $50,000 payday at the Show Me 100 on Saturday
True.
night. Buddy went nuclear on the field.
He shows up when the big money's on the line.
80 lap feature. There was two guys on a 3 compound tire. It was him and Ross Robinson. And Ross Robinson at one point had driven it from 25th to 4th.
Jesus.
So it was Ross and JD on a 3 tire. And JD got the lead on lap 1 and never looked back. And about the only time I don't think I've ever seen it, they stopped mid-race to switch helmets based on the amount of dirt that guys had on their helmets. So
Yeah, I've heard that before, actually.
first time I saw that. So kind of like a controlled caution. But yeah, obviously jam-packed weekend. The racing was fantastic across the board. So as we always do, we want to get into a few race recaps or a few race previews, my bad.
Yeah. I guess the first one, really the big one, on the dirt side this weekend, you got the Onum Dirt Late Models, up here at Mississippi Thunder in Fulton City, Wisconsin. $100,001 to win on Saturday night for the A mods. They're capped at 200 entries. They are full. B mods run Saturday only for 1,500 to win. They are capped at 50 cars. They are full. If you race dirt modifieds and or dirt late models or anything dirt, you most likely are at Mississippi Thunder. Parkins tonight. Practice qualifying tomorrow night. And then it's racing from there on out. So I'll fire off a race preview for that one tomorrow night, Thursday morning, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Gives you a reason to turn the bell on.
Yep.
For sure.
Otherwise, NASCAR's at Worldwide Technology this weekend. 1.25 mile track, long straights, tight corners. Brakes have been issues here the past couple times, especially the first go around with these cars. So I'll be definitely keep an eye on that. I know for you guys, the big thing for you is that old Derek Kraus is back. He's back in the car, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of thing he does. Obviously, what kind of rollover does this whole SHR deal have with the team? You know, when bad news comes out, it never fails that somebody does pretty good the following weekend. We're piling up on the cash roll. A couple guys already having issues.
I did see that.
Always
This is
looking
what's
back.
miserable about watching a race with you guys because you guys are always 10 seconds ahead of me.
Otherwise, quickly looking back to last year's race, Kyle Busch was the winner there last year. Could definitely use a rebound. Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex, Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, William Byron, MM24. I don't know who you had there, and then Kevin Harvick.
Where?
William Byron. 24 is William Byron.
We got 224s on here then.
Yeah, what the
Daniel Suarez, William
Michael
Byron,
McDowell, my
Michael
bad.
McDowell, Kevin Harvick.
34, Mike McDowell.
Sorry.
Yeah. Got it. Typo.
I can't trust any of you guys. Anyways,
following that up, just saw it. Denny Hamlin bracket challenge starts. Your entry's got to be in this weekend by the start of the race. So just do it by Saturday. Bracket challenge, Dirty Mo Media. If you're a racing fan, do it. So
Yes, sir.
if you don't have anything else, I was really looking forward to talking about this segment. Little NASCAR fantasy recap. So
back after having a week off.
Yeah, obviously coming off a week off. We had, and obviously I would have had a better run had we finished the 600 miles, but we made do with 375. But Van Grohl knocks it out of the park this week. Just crushed it. I finished second. Kurt Busch stand third. Carolyn fourth. Kellen fifth. Dietz sixth, and Abby seventh. So to tough week. Kellen and Carolyn and I were talking a little strategy Sunday morning. So,
Guys are coming for me, huh? You're
yeah,
teaming up.
it's about go time, is what I gathered from the conversation. It's about go time. And as the overall standings sit, your tire changers got 2,700 points. And then it's Kellen with 2,578. It's me with 2,512. And then it's Dietzo in fourth at 2338, Gasman's Girl 2329, and Sophie's Pit Picks with 2301. And then Kurt Bushstan is 2218. So it's starting to get interesting. Obviously Van Grohl's still got himself a little bit separated, but I'm 60 points back on Kellen. So we got tightening up a little bit in the top three, and then that mid pack at 2,300 there. Dietzo, Gasman's Girl, and Sophie's Pit Picks.
That group could change at any moment.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what Dietzel is doing, but Buddy has been Kelly, you gotta call him up and tell him, hey, quit
Whatever you're doing
overthinking
ain't
it.
working.
This is Van Grohl from last year, the paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, for real.
So yeah, obviously we're having fun with it. Starting to tighten up a little bit. We need Van Grohl, we need a couple
You need a couple paralysis by analysis races for me, is what you're saying.
for a couple weeks in a row. So yeah, it's obviously fun. Stay tuned. And kind of like the World Outlaws late model points battle. Things are starting to heat up. So
Yeah.
Kel, let's kick it off to the Jack Man. Pull up your wonderful schedule and hit us with some racing.
Yeah, so coming up this weekend, you got pretty much, I mean, if you got high limit, they're racing tonight, then they're racing what feels like every day of the week, the 31st, they kick off on Friday. You got the Extreme Outlaw Midgets at Dole Run, Power Eye National Midgets at Dole Run, World Outlaw Sprint Cars at Beaver Dam up here for the Jim Boyd Memorial. USAC Amesville Sprint Cars, Knoxville, High Limit, Lawrenceburg, Arc Menards, Portland International, little road course racing. Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series after their new announcement with Kubota. They're back on track with Swainsboro Raceway. Mississippi Thunder obviously has the 100 grand to win modified race. High Limit Sprint Cars, Butler, Alive for 5 Super Late Models, Dells Raceway Park. We will be there. IMSA, Detroit Street Circuit.
Along with IndyCar.
You got Cars Tour Late Model Stock Cars, Langley, NASCAR Xfinity, Portland International, NASCAR Wheel and Modified, Seekonk. Hunt the Front's got their 20,000 to win Swainsboro race. On the first, Badger Midget Auto Racing, Angel Park, NTT IndyCar, Streets of Detroit, and then Cup Series at Worldwide Tech. So you got racing you want it, from Flow to Dirt Vision to Hunt the Front to IndyCar to
Local.
midgets, local, dirt late models, asphalt late models, midgets, wing sprints, late models. You want racing, you got racing.
Oh, we're piling them up again.
Ouch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them there.
Looks like everybody's driving away with no damage. Just kind of one guy spun and everybody spinning to avoid.
Yeah.
Before we get off here, obviously we got to make some race picks for Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Cup guys. And well, Cam, I hate to tell you, bud, but you had Larson last week, and I think by our unofficial rule book, you scored 0 points last week. So you get to go first.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of a crock of shit.
You knew that was the risk you were taking. We talked about it. He said, what if it
Whatever.
doesn't get there?
Whatever. Give me Christopher Bell.
Right.
Almighty. Okay.
So we do what we do. We just chip away.
Yep. All right, Kellen, you're up next.
Give me Hamlin.
I'd go
Damn it.
Kyle Busch.
That was the one that I wanted. I am not confident in Kyle Busch. I'm not as confident in this guy either, but he's done good here at this track so far, so I can't stray away from it. Give me the old Logano.
Slowy.
He should have
Um,
this week.
Yeah. So Cam, kind of just as we
Following
go
summer.
here, we are going to, and we're a day late this week, but we're not a day late and $1 short. We're a day late and $2 plus. Next week we are going to be all over the place because we will be at the high limit race. So Van Grohl will be traveling Monday night. So we don't know what that schedule looks like for next week. So we will interrupt your regularly scheduled programming, but we will have an episode in pieces. We are working on the logistics of that just because we do have a travel Monday night to get here to be able to get to Davenport to watch Larson on Tuesday. So we'll keep you in the loop and
Stay
we'll post
tuned.
something on socials to let you know kind of where we're at with that, just because the Tuesday night thing doesn't really work out great for the Tuesday night track talk, but it's also an opportunity that we absolutely couldn't miss.
Yep.
So interrupt your regularly scheduled program to be at the racetrack.
I'm excited. It's
Yeah,
gonna be a great time.
That'd be a blast. You'll love the facilities. Facilities are great.
Perfect.
Yeah. So obviously, I guess any other final thoughts? A lot to digest in this episode that we just talked about.
A lot of storylines coming out of the week, but I think it's fitting for one of the greatest weekends in all motorsports. But we also got a couple of races pretty much ready to roll off here as we kind of get to the signing off portion here.
Yeah. So, look, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this YouTube channel. Again, we're not the most brilliant people out there, but we just love racing. We love talking about it, and we love racing content. So, got some cool things in the works. Obviously, the boys are going to be at the high limit race. So should be some content coming out of that. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. And we'll see y'all next week.